Recently, I had the opportunity to stop in Perry, Georgia for the 7th annual joint event of the Georgia Cattlemen's Association, the Georgia Allied Industry Council, and Georgia Beef Expo. Additionally, this was also the 53rd annual convention and allied member trade show. The annual premier cattle marketing convention and beef expo in Perry features seed stock sales, a large commercial heifer and club calf sale, and forage conference. Josh White, Executive Vice President of the Georgia Cattlemen's Association, said the joint event is a great time for cattle producers to get together.
We're committed to continuous improvement as cattlemen, so this is an opportunity for us to continue to improve our operations back home and do a better job raising safe and wholesome beef for the consumer out there. And we also are getting to socialize and visit with other cattlemen from across the state that we might not get to see but once or twice a year. It's a real social event. We have a lot of joint meals together, and it's about uniting cattlemen and advancing our industry and trying to do a better job for the consumer.
The outgoing president of the Georgia Cattlemen Association, David Gazda, told us those that do attend the event could capitalize on the knowledge shared during the 4 days of trade and information sessions.
So we've got a great lineup of speakers here this week. We've got some great cattle sales. We're going to recognize some individuals and organizations here in the state for their tremendous contributions to the cattle industry here in the state. But I think the take home here would be there's an opportunity for cattlemen here in the state to gain a tremendous amount of the knowledge, have an opportunity to socialize with their fellow cattlemen, and just enjoy the cattle business as it is today in the state of Georgia and in the country, which is tremendously strong.
One of this year's highlights in Perry was hearing from Dr. Temple Grandin, a professor from Colorado State University.
I've been doing a lot of really interesting research. She found that 31% of young people have never been on a farm. In fact, another problem that we're getting into with young people today is they're not doing any hands-on things. As I travel around, so many schools have taken out the home ec, sewing, cooking, welding, car mechanics, art, music. I mean, how could you find out you like a musical instrument if you never played one? So all these hands-on things are getting taken out. And students are starting to show up at the university, and they don't know what they want to do.
Grandin is best known as an American doctor of animal science, best-selling author, an autistic activist, a consultant to the livestock industry on animal behavior, and an engineer. Grandin said she enjoys traveling around the country, educating others outside the industry about animal behavior and the techniques used in processing cattle.
I mean, we've got young people that don't know that beef comes from cattle. You've got young people that think that beef cows are all born in the feed yard. I mean, you're talking about the most basic level of understanding. You know, what I think every rancher here needs to do is talk to their Facebook friends, back in Chicago and New York. The thing is what's chores to you is really interesting to the public. The public just wants to know. Yeah, you've got activists and stuff like that that are attacking, but we've got to look at, we need to communicate with the general public.
Grandin talked to us about all the attention she's received through articles and a movie made for television.
If people have asked me how I liked some of the attention, I consider it a responsibility. I get a lot of emails and letters from grade school kids. I try to send them cards, like if the class writes in, I'll send a card back to the class, because there's a lot of young kids that look at me and I want to make sure that I'm always behaving as a decent role model.
And she offers advice for those facing life's physical or mental challenges.
All right, let's say you have a kid that's dyslexic or a kid that's ADHD, a little bit of autism, and autism is a big spectrum going from Steve Jobs and Einstein down to very handicapped, and I had to work really hard. I just want to give you some hints. Develop the area of strength. If a kid's good at art, develop art. My career was based basically on visual thinking ability. Good at math, develop the math. Good at writing, develop the writing. The other thing these kids have got to do is learn work skills. That needs to start at around 12 years old, paper routes and maybe walking dogs for the neighbors, or you're making PowerPoint presentations for local businesses. Got to learn those work skills.